This is my prediction of who will win the UK election 2017. We're going to fill in this map and I'm going to explain every constituency that changes and why they change. But don't worry, if you're short on time, you can see my summary version in the link in the description. This map shows all the constituencies that in 2015 had a majority of 41% or over, and therefore all the constituencies that I think will stay the same. In grey, you have all the constituencies that I think will change. And obviously you got red for Labour, blue for Conservatives, orange for Lib Dem, yellow for SNP, and then you've got others on various greens and etc. Now you might be thinking, oh, that's it then, Conservatives are going to win. But you've got to remember that Conservatives get larger geographical rural areas, whereas Labour get the higher inner city areas. So Labour get areas like Newcastle, Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, Sheffield, Birmingham, London and South Wales, and the Conservatives tend to always get these more rural areas. Also, just to let you know, we have 250 seats yet to fill out. Now that's a long video and I understand you're going to get bored, so feel free to skip through or skip to the end or anything if you want to, or you can see my shorter video. But I'm going to now go through all of the 250 seats and explain why I think they're going to change and or stay the same. So at the bottom here you've got their votes in 2015. Under that you've got the governing party. In the Leavers column it will say yes if they voted over 51% to leave the European Union. In the Scottish Independence column it will say Indy if they voted yes to leave the United Kingdom, and non-Indy if they voted no to leaving the United Kingdom. For non-Scottish constituencies I found that it kind of just says Indy because that's the way Excel works. In the MP column it will say yes if the MP voted against triggering Article 50. In the Theresa May column, TM column, it will say yes if Theresa May visited, and the same for Jeremy Corbyn, JC, and Tim Farron, TF. So Aberconwy, I believe they will remain Conservatives, but the Conservatives will gain a higher majority as Labour lose out. Aberdeen South, it could go either way because they don't want to leave the European Union and they don't want independence. So I'm predicting that the Conservatives could gain a majority, maybe from Labour, in this constituency. Alyn Deeside, I'm predicting that UKIP votes, which are over 7,000 here, will go towards the Conservatives and they will take over from Labour. Amber Valley, I predict that the Conservatives will just gain a higher majority than they already have as they gain UKIP votes. Arfon, so they're strong Remainers, so I'm predicting that they will remain as Plaid Cymru. They may even gain a vote share. Argyll and Bute, they're strong Remainers but they're anti-independence, so I'm predicting the SNP will lose out and the next biggest party is the Lib Dems, so I'm predicting the Lib Dems will gain. Ashfield, I'm predicting UKIP votes will go towards the Conservatives and the Conservatives will take over. Barrow and Furness, again UKIP votes will go towards the Conservatives. It's less than 7,000 here, but it's still enough to increase their vote share. I must say for all of this, I'm predicting that the Conservatives will retain about anything between 1,000 and 3,000 votes per constituency, but I'm still expecting them to lose out. Bath, so they voted Remain, so I'm predicting that the Conservatives will lose out and the next biggest party, the Lib Dems, who are vowing for Remain, will gain. Batley and Spen, I believe, will stay Labour simply because of the Joe Cox killing. Bedford, they've had a Jeremy Corbyn visit, but I predict that UKIP votes will go towards the Conservatives and they will just gain a higher majority. Belfast South, I don't know much about Northern Irish politics, but I predict it will remain SDLP. Bedmondsey and Old South, so they're Remainers in this constituency and the Lib Dems had a big share in 2015. So I'm predicting that Labour votes could lose out to the Lib Dems as they're very strong on anti-Brexit, whereas Labour is very strong in favour of Brexit. So I predict that Lib Dems may be able to take over in this constituency. Berwick upon Tweed, they're Leavers, so the Lib Dems will lose out and the Conservatives will gain that vote share that the Lib Dems lose. Berwickshire, Roxburgh. So they don't want independence, but the idea of a Tory rule probably won't be that appealing to them. From what I've read in the comments, a lot of people have been saying that the idea of a Tory rule in Scotland isn't anything better than the SNP, so I predict that the SNP will stay. Birmingham and Edgbaston predict that Labour will lose votes as the Conservatives gain slight UKIP votes, and Labour will lose votes to the Conservatives. Although they are in favour of remaining part of the European Union, so Labour could retain the seat. I could be wrong here. Birmingham, Erdington. There's not enough UKIP spread to give the Tories a majority here, so I'm predicting Labour will retain this seat. Birmingham Northfield. UKIP votes go towards the Conservatives, and the Conservatives gain. Birmingham Yardley. Lib Dems may increase their vote share from Labour, but it wouldn't be enough to take over from Labour, so I'm still predicting a Labour win. Bishop Auckland. UKIP votes are quite high, so they're likely to take over from Labour as they gain that vote share. Blackpool North, and again I'm predicting the Conservatives to gain a high majority. Blackpool South, Labour could lose a vote share here as the Tories gain from UKIP, so it could be neck and neck, but I'm still predicting Labour just scrape the barrel. Blythe Valley, again UKIP votes added on to the Tory loss in majority here. It'd have to take the entirety of those UKIP votes for them to win, and I don't think that UKIP will entirely be wiped out. I still think they'll retain some votes, and therefore I'm predicting Labour will keep this seat. Bolton North East. So the UKIP vote is quite strong here, so the Conservatives will take it over from Labour. Bolton West. Again, the Conservatives gain a high majority from UKIP. Boston and Skegness. Again, they're going to gain a huge majority here, as they had 14,000 votes in 2015. Bosworth. So the UKIP and the Lib Dems will lose a vote share. UKIP because they're seen as a spent force. Lib Dems because this constituency decided to leave the European Union, and that will all go towards the Conservatives, I believe. Bradford East. So I think that Labour could lose their vote share here to the Lib Dems because they're the second biggest party in this constituency, but they'll still retain. Bradford South, you could have a strong vote share here, so I'm predicting that a lot of that will go towards the Conservatives, and the Conservatives will take over. Brecon and Radnorshire. So I'm predicting the Labour votes will go Lib Dems, and the UKIP votes will go Tory, and that will result in a Lib Dem win. Brentford and Isleworth. So here, just because I need to factor in some kind of Labour gains, I predicted that Theresa May will be rejected. Labour could increase their majority. Theresa May has decided to visit this constituency, so she is rather unfavourable online, so maybe that could happen. Bridgend. So I'm predicting UKIP votes will go to the Conservatives, and they will take over. Bridgewater and Somerset. Again, the Conservatives will gain a much higher majority here, as UKIP lose out. Brighton, Kemp Town. Again, UKIP votes go to the Conservatives. Brighton Pavilion. There's still a lot of disillusionment with the government, and as the Greens are already in power here, I predict that the Greens could still retain. Bristol East. So this party voted Remain, but they also voted 7,000 for UKIP, so voters are going to be very divided over Brexit. For that reason, I'm predicting that Labour will win because they're vowing for a soft Brexit, as opposed to the Conservative harder Brexit and the Lib Dems kind of no Brexit. So Labour have struck that right in the middle ground, and that's why I'm predicting they'll win in this constituency. Bristol North West. Conservatives gain a high majority as UKIP lose. Bristol South. UKIP votes will go to the Conservatives. Bristol West. So I predict that the Green voters are going to go Lib Dems because they voted Remain in the Brexit referendum, and Lib Dems are very anti-Brexit. And also Labour could lose out to that kind of Lib Dem rise here. It all depends how well the Lib Dems campaign. The MP did vote against triggering Article 50. If voters have changed their mood, feel that Brexit was a democratically voted for thing, then they may change their mind, but for now I'm predicting Lib Dem will take over because they voted Remain. Broxtro. So I'm predicting the Conservatives will gain high majority there. Burnley. I've factored in a little bit of tactical voting here. So I'm predicting that a lot of the Lib Dem votes will go towards Labour and Labour will retain. Bury North. Conservatives gain a higher majority here. Bury South. So there's not enough UKIP votes to spread out and increase the Conservative vote and take over from Labour, so Labour retain. Caerphilly. Again, there's not quite enough UKIP votes to fully take over from Labour. It could happen here, because it is just over 7,000, but we'll see. Caithness, Sutherland. So the voters don't want independence. They don't want the Tories. The Tories aren't very popular here. And Labour aren't very popular here either. The Lib Dems are the next highest party. They're neither in favour of or against Brexit, but I'm predicting that the anti-independence stance will probably mean that they vote for the Lib Dems, that's if they vote tactically, of course. Calder Valley, Conservatives gain a high majority. Camebourne and Redouth, again, Conservatives gain a high majority. Cambridge, so they're strong Remainers and they've had a Lib Dem visit, so I'm predicting that Labour votes will go towards the Lib Dems here and they will gain seats. Cannock Chase, Conservatives gain a high majority. Canterbury, Conservatives gain a high majority, UKIP lose out. Cardiff Central, so I predict that Labour will win, but the vote will be split between them and the Lib Dems. Cardiff North, Conservatives will gain a high majority. Cardiff South and Penarth. UKIP votes will go to the Conservatives. Is that enough to take over? Well, let's say that they end up with 3,000 votes in the end. 12, 13, 14, 15. If Labour lose out votes to Conservatives as well, it could take over. Again, it's give and take here. It is a lot of guesswork, but and I've factored in both scenarios where 12, 13, 14, 15. If Labour lose out votes to Conservatives as well, it could take over. Again, it's give and take here. It is a lot of guesswork, but and I've factored in both scenarios where UKIP just simply don't have enough votes, and they just win and then they don't win. So I've factored in everything here. Cardiff West. So I'm predicting Labour will win, but a lot of the vote share will go from UKIP to the Conservatives. Carlisle. Conservatives gain a high majority. Carmarthen. So as UKIP votes go towards the Conservatives, I'm predicting they will take over from Plaid Cymru. Carmarthen West. And Conservatives gain a high majority here. Caershilton and Wallington. Sorry about my pronunciation of these guys. So I'm predicting the votes are going to be tight here between the Lib Dem vote and the Conservative vote. But there's plenty of UKIP votes to go towards the Conservatives, so the Conservatives take over. Ceredigion. So predicting that the Lib Dems will retain the seat as their strong Remainers. Chilwell. So Labour votes will go Lib Dem and UKIP votes will go Tory, but it's still a Tory retain. Cheltenham. Conservatives gain a higher majority. Chester, the city of Chester. Labour win, as there's a sense of Tory disillusionment going on, I've found, particularly before the election. People feeling that it's essentially inevitable. Chorley. UKIP votes will go to the Conservatives and the Conservatives could just take over. Clacton was the only UKIP seat. I think they're going to lose it to the Conservatives. UKIP, as soon as a spent force. Douglas Carswell left this seat. It's probably not going to be very popular with them anymore. Cleethorpes. Conservatives gain a high majority. Clwyd. Again, UKIP votes will go to Conservatives. Conservatives take over. Clwyd West. Conservatives gain a high majority. Colchester. Here I've said that if the Conservatives get those UKIP votes and for whatever reason they decide to vote tactically and a portion of these Lib Dem votes go towards Labour, it's still not going to be enough to take over the Conservatives once they've gained that UKIP vote. Colne Valley. Conservatives gain a high majority. Copeland. I think it's almost going to be neck and neck between Labour and the Conservatives as the Conservatives gain UKIP votes, but I think Labour will just pip it just to be kind of a bit more fair in this election. Corby. Conservatives gain a high majority. Coventry North West. So again, I'm predicting UKIP votes will go towards the Conservatives and Conservatives will gain. Coventry South. So they voted Remain in the Brexit referendum. And for that reason, I think that a fear of a hard Brexit from the Conservatives will lead them to still voting Labour, and Labour will retain. Crewe Nantwich. Conservatives gain a high majority. Croydon Central. Again, Dagenham. UKIP votes go to Conservatives. Darlington. So again, I'm predicting that it might not quite be enough for the Conservatives to gain a majority and Labour retain the seat. Delin. UKIP votes go to the Conservatives. Derby North. Conservatives gain a high majority. Dewsbury. Again, UKIP votes go towards the Conservatives. Don Valley. So I'm predicting there's not enough UKIP spread. UKIP is still very popular over here. Give the Conservatives a high enough majority. UKIP would have to lose all of their votes to give to the Conservatives, and I just don't think that's going to happen. So I still think Labour will just retain. Dover, Conservatives gain a high majority. Dudley North, UKIP votes not enough to gain Tory majority. Dudley South, Conservatives gain a high majority. So Dumfries and Galloway, they don't want independence, but the vote is split between Labour and the Conservatives to have an impact on the SNP, so the SNP are going to retain. Dumfriesshire and Clydesdale, so the Conservatives are very high in this constituency, so I'm predicting they may well reject the SNP, although they did vote for independence, so the SNP could actually gain another seat here. Dwyfor and Merriund. Plaid Cymru feel there's a sense of disillusionment with the government. Plaid Cymru were already in charge, so I predict they'll stay in the seat. Ealing Central and Acton. UKIP votes won't be enough for the Tories to gain a majority. There could be, but there won't be. East Antrim, again, I've neglected Northern Ireland in this a bit, but I predict they'll go towards the DUP. East Devon, Conservatives gain a high majority. Eastern Bartonshire, the SNP vote will go towards the Lib Dems as they reject independence and they're anti-Brexit. East Londonderry, DUP. East Lothian, they don't want independence, but there isn't another party big enough to take over from them, so they'll go SNP. It's the same with East Renfrewshire. East Surrey, Conservatives will gain a high majority. Eastbourne, so the vote's going to be split between the Lib Dems and the Conservatives. I'm predicting, because they voted Leave, that it will go towards the Conservatives. Eastleigh, again, I'm predicting the Conservatives to gain the majority from the Lib Dems and UKIP. Edinburgh North and Lee, so they don't want independence, but I don't think Labour is going to be strong enough to take over, so the SNP gain. Edinburgh South, I think Labour could just retain this seat as the SNP lose out. Edinburgh South West, they don't want independence, but Labour's not strong enough to take over. And Edinburgh West, they don't want independence, so the vote goes towards the Lib Dems. Eltham, UKIP vote goes towards the Conservatives, as it does Enfield North. Erewash, Conservatives gain a higher majority. Exeter, UKIP votes not enough to gain a Tory majority, so Labour retain. Fermanagh stays UUP. Filton and Bradley Stoke, Conservatives gain a high majority, as they do in the Forest of Dean. In Gedling, it's neck and neck, but I'm predicting Labour would just win. Gloucestershire, Conservatives gain a high majority. Goa, again the same. Gravesham, again the same. Great Grimsby, UKIP votes will go towards the Conservatives. Great Yarmouth, Conservatives gain a high majority. Halesowen, again the same. Halifax, again, Conservative vote just pips them the post. Hampstead, again the same. Although they don't want Brexit, so Labour could retain the seat. I could be wrong here. Hartlepool, UKIP votes will go towards the Conservatives and they will take over. Hastings, Conservatives will gain a high majority. Hazel Grove, again the same. Haywood and Middleton, UKIP votes will go towards the Conservatives again, and it's big enough to give them a majority. High Peak, Conservatives will gain a high majority. Hove, so they voted Remain in the Brexit referendum, so I think Labour will retain with concern about a hard Brexit. Huddersfield, again, UKIP votes will not enough to give the Tories a majority, so Labour will retain. Hinburn, UKIP votes will go to the Conservatives. Ilford North, Conservatives gain a high majority. Ipswich, again, the same, we're seeing a pattern now. Isle of Wight, UKIP votes will go towards the Conservatives. Keighley gain a high majority in my hometown. Kingston, so they're strong Remainers, and they're going to have a Lib Dem visit, and the Lib Dems were very close in the last election, so I think Lib Dems could take this seat. Lancaster and Fleetwood, they're neither the Remainers nor Leavers. Labour put themselves directly in the middle, so I think Labour will retain this seat. Leeds North West, strong Remainers, and they had a Lib Dem visit. So Leicester West, UKIP and Labour will lose the vote share, but I think Labour will just retain. Lose, so the Remainers again, and they had a Lib Dem visit, so I'm predicting that the Lib Dems will take over. Lincoln, Conservatives gain a high majority. Lenny, so there's no other party close enough, so predicting Labour will win. Luton South, UKIP votes are not enough to gain a Tory majority here, so I'm predicting Labour. Maidstone, Conservatives gain a high majority. Mansfield, UKIP votes will go to the Conservatives. We're over halfway there, guys. UKIP votes will go to Conservatives in Middlesbrough. Conservatives gain a majority in Milton Keynes. Montgomeryshire, Morecambe, Morley, Neath. UKIP votes won't be enough for a Tory majority, so Labour retain. And it's the same in Newcastle. In Newcastle upon Lyme, however, UKIP votes go towards the Conservatives. Conservatives take over, as it does in Newport East. In Newport West, it's neck and neck, but I'm predicting Labour just to win. In Newry and Armagh, I'm predicting Sinn Féin. In North Antrim, DUP. North Cornwall, I'm predicting Conservatives to gain a high majority from the Lib Dems because they voted Leave. North Devon, again they voted Leave, UKIP have a strong vote, so I'm predicting Conservatives to gain a high majority. North East Derbyshire, UKIP votes to go to the Conservatives. North East Fife, they don't want independence, and the Lib Dems have visited, so I'm predicting it will go towards the Lib Dems. North Norfolk, I'm predicting the Conservatives just beat the Lib Dems. North Warwickshire, Conservatives gain a high majority, as they do as UKIP take over. North West Durham, UKIP votes not enough to gain a Tory majority in North West Durham. Northampton North, Conservatives gain a high majority, as they do in Northampton South. Norwich North, Norwich South, and Nuneaton. In Ochil, they don't want independence, but the vote is too split between the Conservatives and Labour to have any impact on the SNP. Oldham East, UKIP votes will go towards the Conservatives. Orkney and Shetland, they're going to reject independence and vote Lib Dem. Oxford West, so there's a lot of Remainers here and a Lib Dem visit. Lib Dem vote share is quite high, so I think that the Lib Dems could take this seat. Penistone, UKIP votes will go to the Conservatives. Peterborough, again the same. Plymouth, again. Pontypridd, UKIP votes not enough to gain a Tory majority, so Labour retain. Portsmouth, Conservatives gain a high majority. Presley stays the same as Labour's soft Brexit message plays out. Pudsey stays the same. Reading East, Conservatives gain a high majority, although they are out of favour of Brexit here, so Labour could lose this seat. Redcar, Labour lose a majority to the Lib Dems, and the Conservatives gain from UKIP. But I still think Labour's going to retain. Rochdale, UKIP votes not enough to give a Tory majority, so Labour retain. Rochester Strood, Conservatives gain a majority. Watford again. Rosedale again. Rother Valley, I think it's going to be neck and neck, but the Tories just win because of the UKIP. Scarborough and Whitby, Conservatives gain a high majority. Scunthorpe, I think Labour will just win. Sheffield Hallam, Lib Dems lose. I think the Lib Dems will lose towards Labour because this constituency is a Brexit favouring constituency. And I think Labour will gain a seat. Sherwood, Conservatives gain a high majority. Shrewsbury, again the same. UUP, South Antrim will be UUP. South Basildon, Conservatives gain a high majority. South Down, it's going to be SDLP. South Ribble, Conservatives gain. South Swindon, again. South Thanet, again. Southampton and Itchen, again. Southampton Test, I think Labour will just retain the seat. Southport, again they vote Remain. and the Lib Dems are quite high in this constituency, so the Lib Dems will retain. St Albans, Conservatives gain a high majority. St Austell, again the same. St Ives, Lib Dems lose vote share as they are Leavers and the Conservatives gain. Stevenage, Conservatives gain a high majority. Stirling, they don't want independence, but there isn't a party strong enough to take over from them. Stockton South, Conservatives gain a high majority. Stoke-on-Trent Central, Conservatives just beat Labour from UKIP votes. Stoke-on-Trent North, predicting UKIP votes will go to Conservatives. And again, Stoke-on-Trent South. Stourbridge, Conservatives gain a high majority. Stansford, it's going to be DUP. Strood, concerned about hard Brexit. Sutton and Shem, Conservatives gain a high majority. Swansea West, so other parties aren't near enough to Labour, so Labour will retain. Telford, Conservatives gain a high majority. Thornbury and Yates, the Lib Dems lose out as they are in favour of leaving, so Conservatives gain. Thurrock, Conservatives gain a high majority. Torbay, Lib Dems lose but to Labour as they are Brexiteers. Torfaen, Conservatives just win. Truro and Falmouth, Conservatives lose a majority because they are Remainers, but I still think they're just going to win. Twickenham, they reject Brexit and they are Remainers. Lib Dems do quite well here, so I think the Lib Dems are going to win. Upper Bann, it's going to be DUP. Vale of Clyde, I think the Conservatives are going to gain here. Vale of Glamorgan, again. Wakefield, UKIP votes will go to Conservative. Walsford North, again, UKIP votes. Warrington South, Conservatives gain a high majority. Watford, Conservatives gain a high majority. Waveney, again. Weaver Vale, again. Wells, again. West Aberdeenshire, again. West Tyrone will be Sinn Féin. Westminster North, concerned about hard Brexit because they're Remainers, so I think they're going to retain a Labour seat. Rural West, Labour will retain as the Remainers. Wolverhampton, UKIP votes will go to the Conservatives. Wolverhampton South, Conservatives will just gain with the UKIP vote. Worcestershire, Conservatives gain a high majority. Workington, UKIP votes will go towards the Conservatives. Worsley, again. Wrexham, again. Wyre Forest, Conservatives gain a high majority. Yeovil, again, Conservatives gain a high majority as their Leavers. Lib Dems will lose out. Ynys Môn, Labour votes I think will go towards Plaid Cymru because Plaid Cymru are seen as a lot stronger than Labour at the moment. And York Central, UKIP and Labour will lose and the Tories will gain. And that, ladies and gents, is the map. Now if you made it through all that, I strongly applaud you. Let's zoom in. You can see that Scotland lose some seats to the Lib Dems and one to the Conservatives. Labour will always retain these inner city areas, but you can see that it's mainly a Tory landslide. That's my prediction. That's what the newspapers are predicting. That's what the polls are predicting. I could be wrong. So these are the numbers then. I'm predicting a Labour loss, a Tory gain, a Lib Dem gain, SNP lose a few seats, others stay the same. If you enjoyed this video, thanks for watching. Comment, let me know your opinion in the comments below, and check out all my other videos if you're still bored and you still want to watch another half hour, 20-minute long, or even just a short video, a comedy video or something, just to entertain yourself. Please check out my other videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.